Hello everybody, my name is Deku and welcome back to Milgram. I want to first start off by saying thank you to everyone who has joined the Discord server that we made. If you want to have a link, it'll be in the description down below. Read the rules, get your roles, all that other stuff. It is an 18 plus space, but it is not NSFW and anything like that. There is no porn! But anyway. Thank you all for those, and also thank you to the patrons that you see over here. We've been getting more and more paid tiers, so thank you so much for the people that are spending money to support me. It is so... I'm so thankful for that. Anyway, today we have Mikoto's second voice drama called Neoplasm and Double. This is actually, I think this is going to be a pretty short episode, at least compared to yesterday, where it was an hour and 15 minutes long. So, without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? He looks so fucked up.
Mikoto.
Notice that one half of his actually no, yeah, one half of his jumpsuit is all tattered. The other one is mostly fine, kind of showing that like almost like kind of two-faced look over. It's like misaligned and everything.
Yeah, Kanshi-kun. お前、Mikoto だよな。
何言ってんの？なんか久しぶりな気がするな。元気してた？俺
On God, we all crack in Mikoto. On God, like, and yes, I mean we, as in all of us. All of us are doing it.
なんだ？鎖？やだな。外してよ。
却下。お前は危険すぎる。物理的な拘束は必須だ。
Yeah, I chain him up too.
こんな人畜無害な人を捕まえて何言ってんの？
やはり自覚がないんだな。
いや、さすがにわかるよ。僕は寝てる間に暴れちゃうんでしょ。みんなが教えてくれた。琴ちゃんとドンパチやらかしたとかさ。
そうらしいな。
無遊病的な、そういうやつなのかな。最近眠くなる頻度も高くなっちゃって。いやー困っちゃうよね。
Mikoto。
みんな僕を怖がってる。態度見たらわかるんだ。空気読めちゃうから僕嫌になっちゃうよね。ここに来てからずーっとわけわかんないよ。
お前は本当に苦しい時に笑うんだな。
It is so interesting that he is not aware. Not to say that it's impossible for people suffering with DID to not know, but it is very interesting to see that represented.
怒ったり叫んだりしないんだ。困ったように。
I laugh too. Yeah.
いや、
I
そうだね。
I laugh at very inappropriate times. If these videos haven't been proof of it enough, I laugh at the fucking worst of times and at the worst of things. I don't even mean to.
そういうとこあるかもね。大抵笑ってごまかしてりゃうまくいくじゃん。そういうとこ器用だからさ。それなりにこなしてさ。
そうか。
そうか。
でも終わらないんだよね。ここじゃ。
What do you mean?
身に覚えのないことでずっとイラつく思いをしなきゃいけね
え。出たな。
おう、まだボコられ。
I could tell just by the way that the voice sounded different.
足りねえみてえじゃん。 看守のガキ。あ、ビビってんのかよ。
男にやられたくせに。
ありゃ不意をつかれただけだ。お前が寝てる間にやり合ったが別に負けてねえ。
多重人格。今喋っているお前はミコトの別人格という理解でいいか。
まあそうなんじゃない。
I understand why personality doesn't work, because personality indicates that it's the same person whenever it is very much not, especially depending on the extent of it, because there's obviously borderline personality disorder where it is more like a different personality, it's just still them, but DID is a different identity, which is more than just things like words are not coming out of my mouth. Personality.
そうか。お前のことは何と呼べばいい？
あ、ずいぶん普通に受け入れるじゃねえか。多重人格なんて眉唾もんだろ。
ああ、僕もそんなものが実際にあるとは思わなかった。
だよな。俺もそれが俺でなきゃ信じねえよ。人殺しが罪を逃れるための嘘だとしか思わねえ。
I mean, I've always personally believed in it because it just made sense. Like, the human mind is so strong and so powerful that if it can, like, make its body do something that it shouldn't reasonably do because it believes hard enough, then having another aspect of a person being in there where it might as well just be two different identities, yeah, that makes sense. It more comes down to the actual awareness of it and all things like that. It makes sense, like, with whenever this is being talked about, that people with it will emerge and, you know, talk and see about it, because obviously things and ideas spread, memes, you know, mimetic information, spreading and talking about the representation of DID in this media, but also at the same time, it's also one of those things to where, like, there's definitely more people that have it than you might realize, but also way less than what, like, media portrays it as being. Something like every week there's a person who's a crazy Jekyll and Hyde going on a murder spree, blah 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 blah, whatever.
ミルグラムがお前をそうだと認めている。僕は事実として受け入れ、考えを進めるだけだ。で、何と呼べばいいんだ？
John.
名前。
知らねえよそんなの。好きに呼べや。
John Doe.
お前を弁護士。
Oh.
犬みてえな名前だな。
身元不明の人物を指すジョン・ドゥから来ている。
That's very cool. I thought that was just a fandom name.
知識ひけらかしてるみたいでいけすかね。
しかし、
Lol,
今日は随
anyway.
分と落ち着いている方じゃないか。僕はお前を怪物みたいなものだと思っていたぞ。ここまで話が通じると思わなかった。
調子のんじゃねえ。この鎖さえなかったら今頃顔面潰れてんぞガキ。
おお、怖い怖い。ジョン、お前はミルグラムの囚人ではない。ミルグラムの拘束が効果を発揮しないのが何よりの証拠だ。ミルグラムはミコトを囚人と判定し、別の人格であるお前は例外となっている。
ああ、なるほどね。それでお前の中で多重人格が確定してるわけか。
Okay, so it's one of the things like where Milgram does not see John as a prisoner despite being in the same body. I was kind of thinking sort of the same thing, but maybe it was a little bit more nuanced than that. But if so, under the pretext of Milgram, then technically Mikoto would be innocent, right? Because it would be John that was the one committing the crime, and Milgram doesn't see him as a prisoner. Therefore, there is nothing to be punished because you are literally separating the two, whenever you really shouldn't, because they're sharing the same body and the same actions, and one is being informed by the other and vice versa, which was one of the reasons of why I voted him guilty in the first place. I was also very, very, you know...
今日はお前を重要参考人として話を聞ければと考えた。まともに話ができそうで何よりだ。
だけどな、これはいいことじゃねえぞ。多分。
どういうことだ？
僕が 消えようとしているかもしれない。明らかに俺が表に出てる時間が長くなってる。そのおかげで俺という存在が安定してきてる。ちゃんと話せるのはそのせいじゃねえか。俺が怪物のままの方が良かったかもしれねえな。お、なんだよ。
思いのほかお前が理知的な物言いをするもので驚いている。
大卒だからな。多重人格はなぜ生まれるとされてんだ？
正確には乖離性同一性障害という、一般的には苦痛やストレス、トラウマなどから自分を守るためにもう一つの人格を生み、切り離しを図るとされているの。
うん。多分俺は僕の受けたストレスを解消するために出てきてる。俺が長く出てるってことはそれだけ僕が強いストレスを受け続けているわけだ。
So it's kind of like they're almost constantly switching, or John is referring to both of them.
Milgram
Which, if they
conflict.
are, then Milgram should count them as one person. But this is just adding more kind of like nuance and how do you say, complications to everything. Of being like, well, Milgram doesn't count him, but you know, all this other stuff. Like, he clearly sees them as one and the same, but different.
許さないという判決にな。僕は多大なストレスを感じている。だから俺に預けるんだ、心を。
なるほどな。
無理もね。本人からすりゃ自分に記憶のない罪で責められてんだ。
それが真実なら、実際に人殺しをしたのはお前か。
ああ、俺だ。俺がぶっ殺した。
Is John purposefully confusing here, or is he just saying that it was actually Mikoto doing it?
だから本当に僕はやってねえんだ。
なぜ殺したか聞いていいか？
むしゃくしゃして。
誰を殺した？
そこらへん歩いてたやつ。
I think I also might be. I think. Wait, blue is Alter, right? Blue is John. No. Okay.
するまで。俺がぶっ殺した。だから本当に僕はやってねえんだ。
なぜ殺したか聞いていいか？
むしゃくしゃして。
誰を殺した？
そこらへん歩いてたやつ。
何人殺した？
記憶にね。俺はその時初めて生まれたもんでな、曖昧だ。
So John did nothing, but it was Mikoto who murdered, at least based on the use of pronouns there.
法律で言うと僕はどうなる？
精神鑑定で減刑される可能性もあるだろうが、殺した人数によっては死刑は免れない。
やったのは俺だ。僕は寝ていただけだ。
そんな都合よくいくものか。
僕の身にもなってやれよ。僕はただストレスに耐えていただけなんだぜ。一人でじっと耐えていたんだ、爆発するまで。誰かを傷つけようなんて考えてなかったんだよ。そういうことができないやつなんだ。気使って空気読みで周りの顔色を伺ってばっかで。そういうことができないから。
Okay, so Mikoto did. Okay.
爆発しそうだった。
Fucking Jesus
俺が生ま
Christ.
れたんだ。あんまりだろ。何もしてねえんだぞ、僕は。
そうだったとして、Mikotoの意志ではなかったとして、人の命は失われている。中身がジョン、お前だったとして、それを証明する手立てはない。少なくとも裁判で完全に通ることはない。虚言だと判断されることだって。
お前はどう思うんだ？
僕
やったのは俺だ。僕はやってない。お前はミルグラムによってそれを知っている。刑法なんてどうでもいい。お前はどう思うんだよ。
You could also look at this from like a meta perspective, that this is supposed to indicate that Mikoto is being obviously protected by both Milgram and John, and maybe there's a little bit of like nuance and like symbolism that we're supposed to disregard that and take into account both of them.
やったのは俺なんだ。
すぐには判断できない。そう簡単に許すと判断できることではない。事実、Mikotoの心象風景はあまりに残虐なものだった。許さない。そう判断した。
それは多重人格がフェイクの可能性があるからだろ。僕は本当に悪くない。殺したのは俺だ。お前なら納得できんのか。朝起きたら人殺しになってるんだぜ。
お前を生み出したことが罪と言えるかもしれない。
多分。
Because the big thing is that fundamentally, it is not as if two souls are trapped in the same body, but one is informing the other, right? And I mean that in the way that one is meant to protect the host body, right? The host altar and other things like that. So anything that is being done by the altar should still be taken into account as a crime that is applicable to the host body too, because it is being done for the sake of the body together. So regardless if one was in on it or not, they still share the same body. They still are doing the same thing, right? They are both doing things to protect themselves, the altars in this case, as a trauma response, right? Yes, this would also mean a reduced sentence and other things like that, such as, I guess it would just be insanity plea, but it's not insanity. But the idea that there is more going on, that it is of reason and context of why the murder was being committed and who was actually the one committing the crime, and whether they should be judged as guilty or not because of what they did, I would still say that, yeah, both are guilty because it was both regarding to him, right? This isn't a case of like somebody killing somebody to protect another person that they didn't know and thus blaming the person that was being protected. It is that they are both in the same body and both have something to do with it. Also, I really like how it looks like one half is Mikoto, the other half is John, because the eyebrows. That's really cool.
僕にとっての理想の自分だ。窮屈な理不尽やストレスに泣き寝入りしない、やり返せる自分だ。俺という人格が生まれなきゃ、僕はきっと限界が来て壊れてた。
ジョン、お前。
確かに全部ぶち壊してくれる存在を願ったのは僕だ。一人で立ち向かえなかった僕の弱さが原因かもしれねえ。でもそれだけだ。それが罪か。
それを考えるのはこれからだ。
お前と話して俺がやったことが許されないことだというのは分かった。それには納得だ。
But if you're okay with not being forgiven, then you're okay with the idea that the body you are meant to be protecting is going to be punished. If Milgram saw you as a prisoner. But given you aren't seen as a prisoner, despite the fact you should be, because it is Mikoto that is being seemed at... Because remember, this isn't... All of these people committed murder or caused a murder to happen in some way. And we need to deduce if they are to blame or are guilty of sin and were wrong for what happened, right? And it is Mikoto himself, not John, who is being placed in here under the context that he was the reason for somebody's death. And he was, given the idea that John was protecting the body that they both reside in, thus being the cause of a murder. And given that a lot of times that seemed to be a selfish reason that can 100% be informed, because oftentimes it is very possible for ideas and thoughts to leak into the other alters to inform their actions. That meant that John is more of an extension, while also being his own person, of the consequences of what Mikoto was wanting or was desiring and so on. Therefore, yes, he is guilty because a part of his body, even if it was not him, did something, acted on those things. The thoughts themselves are not the crime. The actions that were informed by said thoughts are the crime. And thus, because they were often seemingly done selfishly or possibly out of like stress or other things like that, because it really doesn't seem like he was getting. I haven't rewatched it, but if I remember correctly, like it was like he was just going out on the prowl, right? And that makes him guilty. That makes both John and Mikoto guilty, not because Mikoto was the one that did it by his own hands, but because of association and complacency, even without knowing what was going on, right? His thoughts of some form or another informed Mikoto, or informed John. As, if I'm reading correctly, I could be totally wrong, but that's the fun of this. That's the fun of all this, is that these interpretations and everything. Is the reason why John does what he does is not just because he is violent or anything like that, but because Mikoto thinks certain things, and John acts on them as a form of protection. But thus, Mikoto is left unaware, right?
ミルグラムの判断対象は僕。ミコトだな。俺、つまりジョンではね。
その通りだ。
僕を許してやってくれ。そうでなければ、僕はきっともう耐えられね
え。別の人格が起こした罪は罪ではない。そう判断しろと言いたいんだな。
ああ、僕を許してくれるなら。
It's one of those things where it could also be seen as one of those things of where, like, a drunk person does something. They don't have all their mental faculties there, and then they commit a crime. You take the intoxication, but also the lack of mental faculty and understanding of their actions into account too, which sometimes, depending on the thing, actually gains a reduced sentence. But other times they can actually increase the sentence, such as with vehicular manslaughter or murder and other things like that.
消えてやる。そう。最終的に俺はいなくならなきゃならない。全部引き受けていなくなる。俺は僕を守るために生まれたんだから。
そのために生まれた。
ああ。僕を守るためだったら俺は何でもやるんだぜ。
Oh, Jesus.
ジョ
ン。何？犬の名前？
ミコト。
I shouldn't screw around like that.
犬飼ってんの？
Son of a bitch, it just bounced all the way back to
当てさせて。トイプー？いや、意外とブサカワっぽいのが好きかも。フレブルとか。
違
う。じゃあパグ？
犬の名前じゃない。
じゃあ何よ？
お前の友の名前だ。
Doppio
そんな
Diavolo.
人知らないよ。
そうだろうな。
ん？
囚人番号9番ミコト。お前の罪を訴え。
Next. Good lord, wow. Oh my god, JJK. It almost seems like he had experienced trauma of probably the murder that was committed. He like came back and fronted at like the last moment, and thus those memories were probably repressed by John. I also really liked the use of train as symbolism, not just as telling us that's how he got around to doing his crimes and murdering and killing the supposed threats to the body, but it's also symbolic of how whenever they are on the train, it's John that's fronting, and because of that, the train now represents the idea that John is the one carrying both of them and taking them along the journey and so on. Let's start at the very beginning. Love this. Typical kind of shattered psyche imagery, glass shattering. Very, very typical symbolism. Very good nonetheless. I really like the way it looks. I like the way that they have from an artistic standpoint, I like the way that they have displayed the glass here with the white highlights too. I really like the use of the mannequins here because it makes it seem like that not only does Mikoto possibly have DID. Well, he does have DID, but he may also have, John specifically might be suffering, or Mikoto too, from a form of like asocial personality disorder too, of seeing everyone around them as nothing but like wooden dolls and the things. Deku, get it, wooden doll. Same thing right there with the with like the imagery here of the, the shattered and the torn paper and other thing like that. I'm curious as to what this is. Is it mom? Is that the mom who's talking to him? Worried? Also, I just want to say that in the background, it's the Hanged Man from before. That's really cool. I almost thought that maybe he was doing like a Doppio Diavolo thing where he was listening to Mikoto's thoughts through the phone as a form of like auditory hallucination that is tied to the DID. JJK right here. This is also very cool because it makes me think about something. Is that ooh, What did that word in the corner just say? Clearly, the actions of John is also physically affecting the body too. So Mikoto, he is also hurting Mikoto at the same time. It seems like. Again, wooden mannequin. There's a really cool thing here, visually, that made me think about something, is that whenever John comes to front, it's in a time of distress for Mikoto. And that whenever he is within, the mindscape and everything like that, that he is not fully aware of what's going on because he is still reeling emotionally, and thus John comes out to protect. And this also is one of the ideas that I was having, is because there's a reflection back here, almost visually is saying that that the actions of Mikoto and his thoughts right now, despite not fronting, is informing John to want to do things. So again, I feel like my theory is correct just a little bit on what I was saying before. His mom is really interesting. He has some sort of relationship with her, and possibly good because she's worrying about him. It seems like here this is Mikoto realizing what he had done, and then possibly this might be out of order, of where this happened first and then Makoto's running away. It could also be one of the things that he has been aware, because if you notice there, the word dream showed up over Mikoto walking down the train, is that maybe Mikoto thought that all the things that the dreams he was having are actually when he wasn't fronting and was actually actively aware of what was going on. He just thought it was a dream. This is also really interesting, where he covers his eyes with blood. It's almost as if, like, he's realizing it is actually there. He's physically, smudging himself with the blood and other things like that. And you could also see maybe possibly some symbolism of, like, he's now seen past the blood, of the truth of what's actually going on. Anyway, that was very, very good. Very short, though. Perhaps, I think, the shortest of all of the music videos, I think. No. Mahiru's... No. Haruka's is shorter. No. Haruka's is not shorter. That's 3 minutes. Mahiru's is shorter. But her voice drama was very long, too. This is also one of the shortest, voice trials, too. Because there was a lot of pauses, too, so it kind of felt like... God, I should not have scrolled down. I hope I didn't fucking... Thank God my eyes only saw Fuda, and I already saw Fuda from Trial 3. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like down below. And if you want to support me financially, you can do so by becoming a Patreon of the paid tier, or a membership, or a Cash App down below. Just make sure to say something off in the comments for Cash App specifically, so that I know you did it. And if you want to join for free over on the Patreon, you can do so as well, and get your name listed in white at the begin and end of every single video where it's read out by me. But as always, I will see you guys next video. Also, if I'm correct, Deltarune might be up in about an hour from now or so for you guys watching the premiere. Bye-bye. Thank you to the members and patrons, aka the Ultimate Crew. Saline, Peachy Bun, Sleepy Sheepy, Lola Bartazal, Finch R, Eminelli, Belle, Lily McMillan, Henri, Angel313, Angel Ortega, Ariana Henry, Yoan, Test, Miles Morales, Buglar Kabagi, Another Dragon, Moons AW, On You, Lind, the Vocaloid Nerd ARG, Distar, Leia, Yui Izumi, AT, Chocobo/Chris, Annie, Shin Guang, Number 1 Ash Bradley fan, Michaela Malone, Gundala, Eileen Levens, It's Hope, Mealy, Sen Amon Klein, CEO, Ori, Questionable Decisions, Endami Sochiro, Shali, Purest Failure, Shelly, Joe, Futa Kajiyama, Nami WP, Kaku, Gukan, Mono, Cerulean, Brixie, Undying Flames, Nail, Rookie Go Boom, Pregnant Valentino, Hey, and Mikoto Kayana. And a very special thank you to the paid tiers, starting with Fresh Pirates, Yui Izumi, Shelly, and Angel313. And now for the crewmates, Sauline and Mikoto Kayano, and Shelly. If you wish to support me, you can do so by becoming a patron through the links in the description down below. You are all a part of the crew. There's also a Discord now too. Thank you.